I try to talk a bit about the citizenship law, the sort of framework of citizenship law in India. And I'll of course talk about NRC, NPR and the CAA or CAS, we are calling it in short. And I think that it really nicely tied to what I want to speak on about the Assam experience, especially with NRC. So before actually talking about the sort of the CAA NRC NPR, the entire this regime, very briefly I want to say talk few things about the larger context of the citizenship law as it existed in India. It's actually a matter of deep shame and sorrow that we had such a wonderful citizenship sort of legal framework, with the part 2 of the Constitution, which did not define citizenship, but which basically gave an idea of how citizenship would be related to migration. And this was, of course, because the Constitution was being drafted at a time when partition had just happened, and of course, in order to define citizen, you had to keep in mind the idea of migration. But at the same time, the part 2 of Constitution, in fact, there was a huge discussion and debate in the Constituent Assembly on there are two kinds of citizenship, two bases. There is in legal parlance, jus soli basis and jus sanguinis. Jus soli is citizenship, on the place of birth, by soil. So wherever you were born, you become. So if you're born on the soil of India, you are a citizen of India. As opposed to jus sanguinis, which is citizenship by blood. So which is where we are sort of like landing into all these legacy documents and all that, and the National Register of Citizens. So the jus sanguinis basis of citizenship was categorically rejected in the Constituent Assembly. And the founding fathers and mothers of the Constitution, they wanted to have a jus soli basis of citizenship. And at the same time, in part 2, it was articulated that the Parliament can make a law on citizenship later. So in 1955, we have that law, which is the Citizenship Act. And then from 1950, which sort of kept the foundational basis of citizenship. However, from 1955 and beyond, there have been several amendments. The more significant amendments have been made in 1987, then there's been one in 2003, and we will talk how these changes have been and what changes have been brought by these amendments, where you actually see that there is a gradual erosion of that jus soli basis of citizenship. And it is very interesting to see that between 1947 and 1955, that is between when you did not have a citizenship law, so as to speak, paper citizenship was a very acceptable form of proving. You don't even have to prove you're a citizen, but you have to prove that you belong to that particular area. And this obviously came in the context of the evacuee property, later which became the Enemy Properties Act. So if you have to claim property, etc., you have to show that you belong to a particular place, or if you, or even the question of deportation. When someone was about to be deported, that person could always show paper documents. So different kinds of paper became accepted as modes of citizenship, as modes of proving that you were Indian. So now you see that in what was trying to say that it's ironic that when we had in the initial years we had a very strong basis, we had paper citizenship kind of eroded, and our judiciary is hugely to be blamed for that. And you see the sort of the dominant populist rhetoric of illegal migrants creeping in and seeping into the judicial vocabulary as well. And this is not just in the Supreme Court, in a very famous judgment, the Sarvananda Sonowal case. It has happened there's several cases in Guwahati High Court, there are cases in Bombay High Court, there are cases in different parts of India by different high courts. where all forms of papers to prove that you are a citizen, and these have only come in the context of when someone is deported or some rights claims are being vitiated and all that. All forms of documents the courts have progressively said that the voter card is not accepted as a proof of citizenship. Your election, passport is not accepted as a proof of citizenship. This is not accepted. Ration card is not accepted as a proof of citizenship. Nothing is accepted as a proof of citizenship. But it is very interesting to see that your election card, you can vote if you are a citizen, but then you get your election card on the basis of the fact that you are a citizen. But then, if you want to prove your citizenship by using that document, it is the concept saying that it is not enough. There are some judgments here and there which say that it is proof of citizenship. There is some of the High Court judgments. There are some judgments, but the dominant narrative has been that the courts have been very, they have sort of fallen prey to the populist rhetoric. Now, and that is the sort of like larger background within which this entire NPR, NRC, and CAA is operating. Now, so I'll talk. What I'll do is I'll talk about the myths. There are certain. Yeah. So I'll talk about the certain myths that kind of pervade the common. These are the myths. These are not true. These are myths that pervade the common understanding. Sort of the populist vocabulary as far as CAA, NPR, and NRC go. The first is of course sort of the mega myth is that NPR, NRC, and CAA are not linked. This is the mega myth. And then there are other sort of minor or subordinate myths that NPR is the same as census. Why are people creating such a hullabaloo? NPR and census are one and the same. Then NPR and NRC are unrelated. That these have absolutely no relation. NPR is something, NRC is something. Okay, you can, like even now, many parties, political parties and governments which are, state governments which are opposing NRC, they are not very keen on speaking out or speaking up about NPR. The third is that NRC and CAA are unrelated. Now, before sort of, I'm not going to respond to each of these one by one, but what I'll do is if I take you through NPR, sort of the foundation, the legal foundation of NPR, NRC, and CAA, all these myths, you will see that these are actually myths. So the first one is NPR. So what is NPR? So NPR actually sort of has emerged more, it's emerged loudly in the popular vocabulary, common rhetoric fairly recently. Earlier people were talking about NRC, people were not also talking about NPR. Now there is a substantial discussion on NPR. So NPR is an abbreviation of National Population Register. So interestingly, NPR, both NPR and NRC or NRIC, National Register of Indian Citizens, both these have their genesis, they derive themselves from the 2003 amendments, which have been the most significantly bad amendment to citizenship law. So what did the 2003 amendment do? So they made several changes, including putting in definitions of illegal immigrants. But what the most important one here for the purpose of this discussion is the framing of the 2003 rules as well. So the 2003 rules, we call it the citizenship rules of 2003 or whatever, the citizenship registration of citizens and issue of national identity cards. So this is where the NPR sort of owes its origin. So Rule 2L of the 2003 rules define the population register as population register means the register containing details of persons usually residing in a village or rural area or town or ward or demarcated area. It is demarcated by the Register General of Citizen Registration, who is like the apex sort of person office within a ward in a town or urban area. This is the definition of the population register. Now, if you look at how the, so basically that's a sort of a legal jargon-related definition. But in short, if you have to understand what the NPR is essentially it's a register of residents of the country. It's not, it has, as many have said, it has really nothing to do directly with citizenship. It defines the residents, usual residents of the country, and this is actually what has been said by the Office of the Registrar General and Census Commissioner, was described the NPR in this way. Now, usual residents for the purpose of NPR, what does it mean? It means that who has resided, who has been a resident in a particular area, in a place, for 6 months or more. So, you can be an Indian, you can be a Bangladeshi, you can be a Pakistani, you can be a British citizen, you can be anyone, as long as you have resided in that place for more than 6 months, you become part of the NPR. You will be considered as a resident, usual resident. Now, what we do not, sort of talk often is this entire process from NPR to NRC. It not only defines usual residents, this entire process from this arc from NPR to NRC, but it also defines illegal migrants and doubtful citizens. So this is also what it does. I'll come to it in a bit. Now, so NPR, there's been so far there's been only one NPR. This is 2010 NPR, and I will just show you the sort of the information that were required. These include name of person, relationship of head of household. Can you see? No. So this is the information that we have about as far as the 2010 NPR goes. Now there is really no clarity what the 2020 NPR will ask for. There have been different information by different bodies. Amit Shah's, Amit says something else, and his right hand says something else, his left hand says something else, and his lips say something else. Then you will have the Twitter handle of the MHA say something else, and you will have the FAQ section of on the website say something else. So there is no clarity that what are required. There are, however, there's a schedule to the NPR 2020, which was reported by media, which actually the NPR schedule of 2020 asks for about the details of the date of birth and the place of birth of one's parents in addition to these details. Now, unless and until they actually, sort of release, have a proper, unless something looks like a law and sort of talks like a law, it's very difficult to say like what document will they ask for. So, but there were media reports that the schedule asks about the place of birth and the date of birth of the parents, which points to the fact that this may be problematic. Why? Because so there's in 1987 there has been an amendment, and then in 2003 it's very important in the context of 2003 amendment of the Citizenship Act. The 2003 amendment states that if one of your parents is an illegal migrant, then you're not automatically, you won't be a citizen. So one of your parents must be an Indian, and the other parent should not be an illegal migrant. Now, so in the context of that, if you read the requirement in the schedule, along with the 2003 amendment, then it becomes very problematic. Now, so anyway, so far it's complete chaos as far as what documents are needed and all that. Now the question is, who prepares an NPR? And I'm meaning to ask this question because then the automatic sort of the follow-up question is then, can the state government do anything? State governments, so far West Bengal and Kerala have, they have already taken a stand that they're not, they've stayed NPRs, Punjab as well. And Punjab is also going to the court about NRC, which is Kerala and Punjab so far. So anyway, so the question is, who prepares the NRC? So the that the sort of the parent authority is the central government. And like I said earlier, that the Registrar General India acts as the national registration authority for NPR, and it's very interesting to see that the same person is also functions as the Registrar General of Citizens Registration for NRC. So it's the same office, same Registrar General who is in charge of both. On July 31, we know that, which is last year, we know that the Ministry of Home Affairs, they issued a notification stating the timeline for data collection of NPR, which was to be from 1st April to 30th September 2020 of this year. So this is the who prepares an NPR. But if you follow up that question with the next sort of automatic question that do states then have any role in the NPR and NRIC process, then the answer is actually yes and no. And it's so before going with the yes and no bit, we have to think very carefully about the 7th schedule of the Constitution. What the 7th schedule of the Constitution does is it divides subjects on which the state and the central government can legislate into 3 lists: the union list, the state list, and the concurrent list. Now, citizenship, for all practical and legal purposes, citizenship, naturalization, or aliens, these are subjects covered under the union list. Union list of some 97 items, it's covered under the union list. But, and here's a distinction between the CAA and the NRC or the NPR. Because under the CAA, in fact, with the new amendment, I think section 6B or something. Anyway, it's the new amendment. In the new amendment, it's 6B, insertion of new section 6B. So in 6B in CAA, we have actually, I think the central government kind of anticipated that they might not get cooperation from state governments. So what they did was, they said that the central government can create a separate authority which will deal with citizenship in this entire the process, or they can designate some existing authority as an authority under the central government. Now, that's as far as Citizenship Act is concerned. But as far as the NPR and NRC goes, practically the entire process needs the cooperation, the administrative cooperation of the state government. So that is like one way of, that's not so much of a legal strategy as much of a just common sense, that when the entire administrative machinery of the state needs to cooperate, and so far there hasn't been any, to the best of my knowledge, there hasn't been any additions or alterations, in the 2003 rules or elsewhere which state that the central, the state government cannot do it. The central government will designate some authority like they have done in CAA. But there are other legal issues as well, because states are, legally speaking, constitutionally speaking, they are supposed to agree and cooperate with the central government. And this is like an unprecedented situation actually. We haven't had like situations like this where the central government wanted to do something and the state government, something like as obnoxious as this, and the state governments have denied or tried to defy the central government, and then they have locked horns. So we haven't had, they have locked horns earlier, but not on some, on an issue like this. So one doesn't know. So what could happen? I mean, this is again, I think in Kerala, the BJP, the state unit in Kerala, they said that they will. I can't remember if they said something similar in Bengal as well. But in Kerala, they said that if you are not cooperating, then we will ensure that you have there will be president's rule, because this amounts to constitutional breakdown of breakdown of constitutional machinery. So those threats are still there. So under 365 of the Indian Constitution, they can still browbeat the state governments to do what they want. But as far as the practicalities, for all practical purposes, it is it will be difficult for the central government to go with NPR and NRC if the states completely, they refuse to cooperate. So that's like, they can still do it, they can change the law, they can do anything. But it's still, as of now, it's still, like, it's mildly difficult. Now there's like one of the subordinate myths that I spoke of earlier, that the NPR is the same as census, and this is being repeated ad nauseum everywhere, that NPR, and आप क्यों घबराते हो, तो census है, data collection, it has happened since like donkey's ages, why are you worried? But NPR and census are not the same, and it is very evident if you just read the 2003 rules and if you see the distinction. So what is census is based on voluntary information that you submit, and there is no verification process in census. Census is based on the 1948 Census Act of 1948. There is no verification process. Your names will, only your details will be collected. The census, the final census will not contain your name, it will only contain the details. NPR is completely different from that. For one thing, so if you look under the 2003 citizenship rules, it is compulsory for a person to share the demographic data for the preparation of NPR. In fact, there is Rule 17 which prescribes punishment. It says that there's a penal consequence under Rule 17 if you do not cooperate, if people do not cooperate with furnishing of data. So this is how, you will never have thought that a law like citizenship law will have penal consequences. It's just unthinkable, but that's where we are. So anyways, it's abundantly clear that the two are different. Now let's move quickly to NRC. So what is NRC? NRC was the more sort of common moniker for Assam, National Register of Citizens in Assam, and the NRC is one of the same thing. NRC is National Register of Indian Citizens. So National Register of Citizens, National Register of Indian Citizens, same thing. Now, if you look at the section 14A, which is like the sort of parent law for NRC, it states that the central government may compulsorily register every citizen of India and issue national identity card to it. This is all come from 2003 amendment to the main law, not just to the along with which the 2003 rules came. And the second is that the central government may maintain a national register of Indian citizens, and for that purpose establish a national registration authority. Now, if you look at Rule 3.1 of the 2003 rules, it states that the Registrar General shall be established and maintain the National Register of Indian Citizens, and that the National Register of Indian Citizens shall be divided into subparts consisting of State Register of Indian Citizens, the District Register of Indian Citizens, the Sub-District Register of Indian Citizens, the Local Register of Indian Citizens. So like I said earlier, that National Register of, that entire art from NPR to National Register of Citizens, it's not just about usual residents or defining whose name will be there as citizens, but it is also, more importantly, it is also about identifying illegal migrants and doubtful citizenship. And the doubtful citizenship, and I think later we'll talk more about what has happened in Assam, the category. So doubtful citizenship, I'll just say into doubtful citizenship because it's really, really interesting. Do you know what is the doubtful citizenship? Have you come across the phrase doubtful citizen? Who is a doubtful citizen? Who can be a doubtful citizen?
Someone whose papers are not in order.
One way of looking at it. Now, it's very interesting. So if you look at the if you look at the 2003 rules, it's very clear how the entire NRC process will be conducted. So it's the rules stipulate that for making NRC, the particulars will be entered into NPR. It will be first verified by the local register of citizens as per Rule 4, Sub-Rule 3. Following this verification, the NRC will be finalized after removing doubtful citizens. Now, there is a Sub-Rule 4 to the Rule 4 of 2003 rules, which states, and I'm quoting, that during the verification process of the population register at NPR, a step before the NRC is prepared, an individual or family would be marked as doubtful citizens or have doubtful citizenship. Now, is there any definition of doubtful citizenship anywhere? The answer is like a resounding no. The 2003 rules, which state that doubtful citizens will be identified, does not state who are doubtful citizens. Is there a definition of doubtful citizens? There is no, there is actually, there's even a definition of illegal immigrants, but there is no definition of doubtful citizens. And this is very, very dangerous because one, of course, it's not there in the 2003 rules, it's not also there in the Parent Act, and it's very dangerous that the only thing that it says that the local register has the power to identify and mark people as doubtful citizens or families, not just individuals but also families, as having doubtful citizenship. And what it says is that after this doubtful, after they're marked as doubtful citizens, they will be then asked to provide information on a specified pro forma, and they're given the opportunity to be heard by a sub-district or taluk registrar of citizen registration before a final decision is taken on whether to include them in the NRC or not. This is the NPR to NRC sort of arc. Now, what is, I mean, of course, like we all know, like what is hugely problematic with this, because everything is in the power, in the hands of the local registrar, and the local registrar can be anyone. The local there is no criteria. There is no. He has like absolutely full discretion to do whatever, unrestricted discretion to do whatever he wants. And so even after the final list is prepared, the final NRC list, what may happen is anyone can claim, can dispute the list by stating that my name has not been included, or can state that someone's name has been included, and make that, and basically, so then there is an aspersion is cast on the person whose name is included by saying that person, we are very sure, and this is happening in Assam, we are very sure that this person is a Bangladeshi immigrant, he's a doubtful, he falls into the doubtful citizen category, and then again that entire process will continue to harass that person. So that's the most sort of disastrous part, one of the, I think, most disastrous part of this entire NRC process. So last myth, and then I'll move quickly to why the CAA is problematic, is that the NRC and the NPR and the NRC are absolutely different process. It is not true. The NPR and the NRC are absolutely linked. One leads to the other. You don't need to do anything. The only thing that you need to do is just read the Rule 3, Sub-Rule 5 of 2003 rules and figure out that how these two are related. Because Rule 3 clause 5 states that the local register of Indian citizens shall contain details of persons after due verification made from the population register. And there can't be any other meaning to it, there can't be any other interpretation to it. That basically the NPR is the input and the NRC is the output. That's as simple, you can read it. So these two are absolutely related. And both of these, and you can also do like a more sort of thorough interrogation of the relationship between these two by looking at the 2003 rules and see like how both have old evidence from 2003 rules. So that's about it. Okay. Quickly, am I in time?
Yeah.
So let me just quickly talk about the CAA, this entire CAA crisis. And I think there's a lot being said about it, lot being written about it. It's almost part of popular vocabulary. People are reading preamble, the constitution, nooks and corners. So CAA, it's patently unconstitutional, and I'll talk about it. But the CAA, where does CAA figure in this NPR to NRC to sort of CAA this entire part? And that is simple. It acts as a basically chapel. So what it will do is it will So there will be certain number of people caught in that, good number of people, people as Hindus, Parsis, and all that, and so the ones who will be caught in the NRC, they can be doubtful citizens, they can be, they may not make it to the list and all that. Though they will be provided that they've met 4 conditions, which is that they have come to India before 31st December 2014. They got exemption from the Passports Act and Foreigners Act from the Union government, and that they are from the specified countries, which is Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, and that they are Hindus. The 6 categories, Hindus, Sikhs, Christian, Parsis, Jains, and Buddhists. They will be saved by CAA. And this number, there has already been an official IB submission report before the Joint Parliamentary Committee. That number is 31,300 something. So that is basically the number of people who will be saved by this. What is more, I think, crucial is, and we cannot overstate this enough, is that the CAA is completely constitutionally, it's completely untenable. I mean, anyone who is saying that it is constitutionally justified, be Harish or whoever, is kidding themselves, and it's morally reprehensible. So, and in its current formulation, even though one of the things that we also have to see that there's this entire conversation that it's going to save persecuted Hindus. There is no conversation on persecuted Hindus in the amended act. So where is this idea of persecuted Hindus is coming from? And even if you meet all these categories and you have not come to India under religious persecution, what happens to you? So do you then you have to say that you're persecuted? How do you prove that you're persecuted? I mean, so there is no clarity, nothing. So constitutional challenges, the most well-known challenge of course, the one which I think we are all talking about is that it falls foul of the reasonable classification test, and that's like legalese. Basically, Article 14 and Article 14 is equality before law, and you cannot, you can't say the state which is making the law cannot say that some illegal immigrants are more equal than other illegal immigrants. In other words, you can't say that there are different categories of religious persecution. So if you're a minority in these 3 countries, you are let's say you're persecuted, and if you're a Muslim minority, if you're a Ahmadiyya or a Shia Muslim in Pakistan, I mean it's just completely bizarre. I mean these are just creating artificial categories and all that. So it falls foul of the reasonable classification test that's very well established, and it is also, of course, we have a very long cherished tradition. Constitution, I mean, in the text of the Constitution as well as outside, in the unwritten Constitution, in the courts, in the number of judgments in the Supreme Courts, in Constitution cases, where it's very well established that secularism is a basic structure of the Constitution, and you cannot just do away with secularism. And the idea of not including excluding a particular community by not including them in the text of the law, it's patently unconstitutional. And obviously we also know that currently there are more than 60 challenges before the Supreme Court, and they are going to be heard this week. And let's see what comes out of that. Okay, I think I'll just stop there because